Next we will be making the feet of Doug the dog. So we're going to start off with a slip knot and our ivory yarn, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Going to make an increase in the second chain from the hook. That's 2 single crochets in the same stitch. The next stitch gets just a single crochet. The third chain gets a 4 single crochet increase, which means we're going to make 4 single crochets in the same spot. So that's number 2, number 3, and number 4. By the time we've done number 4, we've gone around. We're now going into the next spot, just 1 single crochet. And then for the last stitch, which is also the first stitch we worked in, we are going to make an increase. And that will bring us to the end of round 1 of the foot. For round 2, we're going to start with 2 increases. So stitch 1 gets an increase. That first stitch is always very difficult to get into. You just need to wiggle your hook until you've got it done. Stitch 2 gets an increase. The next stitch, just a single crochet. Then on the next 4 stitches, we're going to make an increase on each stitch. That's increase number 1. Increase number 2. Increase number 3. Increase number 4. And then just a single crochet in the next stitch, and the last 2 stitches get an increase each. So that's increase number 1 and increase number 2. Now our position isn't quite right at the end of this round, so we're going to add 1 shift stitch, which is just 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and that shift stitch simply moves the position of our stitch marker. It would have gone here, but we added a shift stitch, so it now goes there. You'll still have the same count of stitches in the round. Your stitch marker has just moved on by 1. We're now going to make a round of slip stitches. For slip stitch, you go through the stitch, you pull your yarn back, through the stitch and through the loop on the hook. So you go through the V, hook the yarn, back through the stitch and through the loop on the hook. And that's what we call a slip stitch. We're going to make 1 in each stitch all the way around. It's a total of 18 slip stitches. Now with slip stitches, a lot of people pull them too tight and then you can't work your next round. If you are one of those people who pulls them very tight, I'd recommend that for this round you go up a hook size to a 4mm or even a 4.5mm to make your slip stitches with. That will give them the correct size so that you can easily work round 4 through your slip stitches in the next round. But as you can see, we're just keeping them nice and even, working through each individual stitch and not pulling very tight on any of them. So that's number 15 and 16, number 17, and our last one is number 18. Now we're going to be doing a color change at this point, the end of round 3. So you can take your scissor and just snip off your ivory tail short like this, because we're going to change to taupe in the next round. Okay, for round 4 we are changing to taupe, so I've put the taupe around my hand with a short end over my palm. I'm going to take the short end I just cut with ivory, and I'm going to combine that with the short end of a taupe, holding them together. I'm then going to hook from the taupe instead of the ivory and pull it through my stitch that's on the hook. At this point you take the ivory end and you just pull it really tight so that that last ivory stitch disappears and it looks like there's just a taupe stitch coming through. You're then going to chain 1 with the taupe. Don't forget that you made this chain 1 when you get to the end of a round. We are now going to work in the back loops only. Now when you look at your V's that you made with your slip stitches, this loop, which is closest to your body, is called the front loop. This loop, which is furthest away from your body, is called the back loop. So instead of going under the V, we're going to go into the V, and we're only going to go through the back loop when we make our single crochets. So it's a normal single crochet as you always do, but instead of going under both loops, you're only going under the back loop of each slip stitch. Now we're going to do 18 of these all together, all the way around. So that's number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and the last stitch of a round, number 18, which brings us to the end of round 4. For round 5, we're just going to make 18 single crochets, but remember, at the beginning of round 4, you made that one chain stitch over there. So you don't want to work into this chain stitch. You want to skip it and go into the first single crochet when you start your round. If you don't skip that chain stitch, you're going to end up with 19 stitches instead of 18. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. See, our yarn has actually knotted here. I always hate when this happens. Just going to loosen that knot. There we go. Fourteen, 15, 16, 17, and 18. That brings us to the end of round 5. For round 6, we're going to start by making 3 single crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. We're then going to have a mini pattern of a single crochet followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat that mini pattern 4 times. So it's single crochet number 1 followed by decrease number 1, single crochet number 2 followed by decrease number 2, single crochet number 3, followed by decrease number 3, single crochet number 4, followed by decrease number 4. We are then just going to make 3 single crochets to bring us to the end of a round. It's 1 and 2 and 3, which brings us to the end of round 6. For round 7, we start off with 5 single crochets. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, followed by 2 decreases. So that's decrease number 1 and decrease number 2, followed by 5 single crochets again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which brings us to the end of round 7. For round 8, 9, and 10, we are going to make 12 single crochets in each round, so it's just 1 in each stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, bringing us to the end of round 8. For round 9 and 10, you're going to do exactly the same thing, making 12 single crochets all the way around. So we're going to show you that on fast forward. Before we carry on with round 11, we're going to stuff our foot. Now, we want to stuff the foot section firmly and leave a leg section empty. So you're just going to take some stuffing and push it into the bottom there. Make sure that you push it into the toe area of the foot, and that you also get some for the heel area, so that the whole foot is stuffed nice and firm. It should just be able to fit your thumb into the leg to help you with the stuffing. Now, we really do want to leave the leg empty. As you can see, my finger, the whole nail disappears in, so that whole section is empty and that section is firmly stuffed. That's the effect you want to achieve with stuffing the leg. For round 11, we're going to make 6 decreases to close up our leg. So stitch 1 and 2 gets our first decrease. Stitch 3 and 4 gets our second decrease. stitch 5 and 6 gets our third decrease, stitch 7 and 8 gets our fourth decrease, stitch 9 and 10 gets our fifth decrease, and stitch 11 and 12 gets our sixth and final decrease of the round. We're now going to finish off by simply making a slip stitch in the next stitch. Again, like with the arms, we will be creating movable limbs, so we don't need a long tail for sewing. You can just snip it off short. Then going to take your tapestry needle to work away the end. First we're going to weave in and out around the stitches of our final round. We're then going to pull tight and just push our needle in at the top and out at any random stitch on the leg. Snip off the end and you have completed your leg and foot. Now we need 2 of these, the same size, so you need to repeat that part of the video to create a second leg. Once you've got 2 of them, we can attach them to the body. Next we're going to pin the legs into place. In order to do that, we start by moving our arms out of the way towards the front. When you're pinning the legs, you want to make sure that the toe section is actually pointing forward on the leg. You take the leg to the side. You want to check your belly button. The top area of the belly button is approximately the line that the top of your leg should line up with. You also want to check from the side to make sure that your leg lines up with your arm and your ear being in roughly the same spot. Once you're happy with your position, you pop in 2 pins to just keep your leg in place. We're then going to do the same with the second leg, just on the other side. Want to make sure that the top lines up with the top of the belly button. We want to make sure our toe is pointing forward. Check from the side to make sure it lines up with the other arm and the ear, and just pop our pins in place. Now a very important check that we need to do is from the bottom. Now you'll notice that our feet are ovals and they're not pointing in the same direction. This one we got pointing forward nicely, so our toe is facing exactly forward as it should be. But with this one, it's facing out at an angle. So we need to take out the pins from this one. And then we need to just twist the leg a little bit in the same position that it's in to make sure that our toe is pointing exactly forward before we return our pins to the leg to hold it in place. So you can see now both of our toes are pointing forward. We then check again from the front that we haven't lost height or anything. Check from the sides that it lines up nicely. And it does. You can check from the back as well. And that is how you pin the legs for Doug the Dog into place. Next we're going to create movable legs for Doug the Dog. So we're again going to be using our tapestry needle, which is quite large. We again got fishing line on the needle, and we're going to use exactly the same technique that we used for the arms. So we start by turning our dog over. We find a spot in the back of our choosing to enter. We push towards our left hand side with the needle so that it can exit through the leg that is on the left hand side. Okay. Can be a little bit tricky to do this first one through. There we go. You want your needle to come out near the top of the leg. Remember, when you pull the fishing line through, that you want to leave the tail hanging down the back. You'll need it later on. We then go in the exact same hole we came out of. This time we push our needle all the way through the body to come out on the other side. On the second leg, we want to try come out in a similar spot. There we go. As you pull your fishing line through, it will disappear into the leg. We're then going to repeat that stitch, going in the same spot, pushing straight through the body. Coming out the other leg. Go, and one more time, going all the way through to the same spot, all the way through the body, out the other side. So make sure that your fishing line does not get caught on any of your pins or other limbs. Okay, that's enough repetitions for me, so I'm going to go in this side, into the body, and then I'm going to make sure I come out at the same opening where I originally started, where my short tail of fishing line is waiting for me. The fishing line just went off. Go. Put it back onto the needle and pull through. Same as last time, we are going to knot the two ends together, and on the first knot we are going to pull very tight, because remember, that's the one that gives you your tension on your legs. We're then going to knot it several more times. That's number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And then take the pins out. Check that your legs remain in place and that they can easily move in the way that you want them to. If you're happy, you can snip off your fishing line. And you just push that knot that you made at the end into the body until it disappears completely. When you run your fingers over, you should not be able to feel the fishing line at all. And that gives you Dog with movable arms and movable legs.